Followed by, now the real work begins. We're Blue Water Climate Control.
Welcome to Buck and 2MC. As you can see, there's no Buck. It's just 2MC. But Alex is here. He's hanging out in the background. But Alex Carter is here with me. I have a producer who can make all the buttons click. I don't have to do it tonight. I'm very excited. There he is. Alex is a very tired person because he works in the restaurant business now, and he's hiding, I think, in the stock room just so he can have a few minutes with us. So,
yeah, I'm hiding out. It's kind of busy right now, but I needed a break, and I wanted to help Maria out here and join her and talk about the Lady Vols and whatnot.
You are at Tap 40 Grill, of course, owned by Billy Ratliff. And Bobby is, of course, hanging out and doing all kinds of things and there all the time. And Alexis is not around right now. She's busy tonight, but we hope to get her back next week. I have not been yet, but I'm hearing excellent reviews of the food, the atmosphere, your location right off Interstate 75 right there in Powell. So it's going well, which is great for the restaurant, but I know, Alex, you are probably exhausted. You look exhausted. I'm used to looking tired because I'm getting old, but I'm not used to seeing you look this tired.
Oh, yeah, I mean, I'm wore out. I haven't had a lot of days off, and but we've been busy. You know, we've had a lot of good customers, and if you hadn't come down yet, you know, you should come down this week. And this week only, we are selling gator sausage. So we have a gator sausage dog and like a gator sausage charcuterie or something like that. Pretty good stuff.
Before we jump to Lady Vols, that of course is a big game, 7:00 Saturday evening. Going to be. I'm glad. I'm tired of these noon tips. I just can't deal with the noon tip off or kickoff and football. No, they need to be late afternoon or evening tips. What do you think, Alex? Tennessee go down there? You think they can go down there and pull the upset?
I think it's possible. I think you're going to have some really good quarterback play from Tennessee, and you know, defense is going to have to play one of their best games. But it's possible. I mean, this isn't the Steve Spurrier Florida team, so anything's possible. But we'll see.
Beth Edwards just pointed out, no, Alexis Hornbuckle means we can talk recruiting, and yes, we can. I have been saying Kyla's name wrong. We talked about the 6'5" post from Mason, Ohio. Apparently, it's pronounced Kyla Oldacre. I think I got that right. I was saying Oldacre. I was saying like it's spelled. I'm a literal person, but I think it's Kyla Oldacre. She, of course, will be here, not this weekend, of course, because they time these to football games as often as they can. She will be here a week from this weekend for, help me out, Alex. Which game is after Florida?
At Missouri, then home for South Carolina.
Okay. So she will be that's right. I'm a week ahead of myself. So she will be here in 2 weeks because the football team is on the road, and she will be visiting that weekend. That's a big visit for Tennessee. No pun intended, because she's 6'5". Hers is an interesting recruitment because she's so quiet. You usually hear chatter and different takes and, you know, all the noise, but you don't hear much around her, not because she's not an outstanding recruit, but because she's just a low-key player. She doesn't put out much on social media. Nope, she doesn't talk much about things. Obviously, Talasia Cooper already visited. That was shortly before Labor Day. She still has visits to go to Georgia and South Carolina. She is from South Carolina, little town near Florence. And then Amaya Jenkins was here. It was not that last weekend. It was the weekend before. I don't see an active recruitment going on there right now, so I don't see her coming to Tennessee. The final three that I'm really tracking are Talasia Cooper and Kyla Oldacre, and of course Justine Passat. I'm not really tracking her. She committed a year ago, and she's coming in the game after the Missouri game. She will be here for her official visit that weekend, but she's not taking any other visits. She's going to sign in November. So the key question everybody's asking me, and I don't know yet, is how many does Tennessee take in this class? I said from the beginning 2 to 3, maybe 4. So obviously with Amaya Jenkins, who I think that recruitment has stalled out. I think both sides have moved on in that case. Of course, I always say recruiting can change. I've given you a snapshot of what it looks like today. And so I think obviously with just Justine, do you get 1 or 2 more in this high school class that can sign early? Hopefully 2. I mean, hopefully 3, maybe 2. But I mean, ideally you pick up both Cooper and Oldacre. But the transfer portal has changed everything. It used to be your November signing class. That was your high school class. Maybe you pick up a late commit, a player who wasn't committing early, but most of the top players are done in November. They sign. Or maybe you look at a JUCO in the spring. But the transfer portal means your incoming class with your freshmen that you signed in November could have a sophomore in it, a junior in it, a senior in it, a graduate transfer in it with a one-time waiver and no sit out. Every single coach that keeps an eye on that portal to supplement their recruiting. And it goes both ways. You can lose players out of the portal. You can lose your own players and then need to add players. So it used to be once you hit November in basketball, you wrote those stories, you're pretty much done with recruiting. Maybe in some years you pick up somebody else in the spring. But right now, the 2 most active periods are, of course, November and then the signing period coming up in mid-April to mid-May. Now, a graduate transfer also does not have to sign. It's not like a high school player signing an LOI. A graduate transfer just has to enroll. So they can – well, I mean, we saw that with Jordan Walker. She decided to transfer in July of 2020 and was in Knoxville in August. So there's no way to call what the signing class will be right now because the transfer portal just means it's going to change. So that is where we're at with recruiting. And I did want to clear up how to say Kyla Oldaker's name. And if I'm messing that one up, I'll fix it again. But I'm pretty sure I got it right this time in terms of her. 2023, of course, is the incredible class. I'm not saying 2022s are not, but 2023 is absolutely loaded. And, of course, Ashlyn Shade, the Noblesville, Indiana guard, is one of the top recruits in the country. I don't put much in ranking numbers. I think y'all know that from talking to me, but she's legitimately top 5, maybe even top 3 in that class. So Samantha Williams, as we follow her on Twitter, you could see that she was in a gym. I mean, they can't say who they're looking at. Don't even really say where they are. It was a carefully cropped Twitter photo that she said, I like to watch practice. You learn a lot about recruits in practice. And as it turned out, she was in Indiana. So that was her first road trip in September to evaluate the 23s. And it says a lot that was the first player she wanted to take a look at. So the 2023, Olivia McGee out of Virginia. I mean, that class is just Corey Allen, a Vol legacy player, obviously, because of her father. The 2023 class is just stacked. And Tennessee also, we'll look at numbers. Tennessee has 14 players right now, obviously 2 seniors, Kean Green, who will use that extra year, and then Ray Burrell. So that now you're down to 12. And you sign 2 or 3 in 2022. So really, right now you have openings for 3, but then again, you never know, are you going to lose somebody on your own team? You're constantly playing a jigsaw puzzle of numbers. And then you have to think, okay, if I get this many players in 22 and I have this class, and Jordan Walker, I'm sorry. So 14 minus 3. So you have 11 coming back if everybody stays for Tennessee. And then so you could add a max of 4 to get to 15. But then you have to look, okay, how many seniors in a year. Not this season, but after the following season. Then you have to look at, okay, how many can I take from 2023? So that is enough math for one day for me. So that's where we are with recruiting. Doris said, where's your friend Alexis? She can't make it tonight. They're also busy at the restaurant. Alex is here, thank goodness, to promote and produce and do all that kind of stuff. So I can just yammer and I don't have to click buttons.
Yep.
So I appreciate that.
Marie, I got a question about this recruiting thing. Because honestly, I know more about like football recruiting. Do they do like gray shirting in basketball?
No, I'm familiar with that with football, but you don't see it with basketball. And you don't see the preferred walk-ons either. Now men can have more. Women have 15 scholarships too, and men have 12 in basketball. And so if you use them all, 15 is a lot to manage for practice, for reps, particularly when you consider there's only 200 game minutes. I mean, it is. Pat struggled with that a bit. Of course, it always seemed that injuries kill you, and you end up with no guards. When Alexis Hornbuckle had to be a one-handed point guard, but you also run into an issue of you're going to have a hard time keeping that many people happy. Is that Billy Ratliff hanging out there, man?
Yeah, Billy's right here.
There he is.
At 40. Apparently, it is so busy that Catfish Bobby is begging for me. So if it is okay with you, Maria, I need to go help him for a little bit.
That'll be fine. I'll click the buttons. I'll go back to my graphics and click them. It's good to see you, Alex. Good Lord, get some rest, child.
Yeah, thank you, and so long, everybody.
All right, thanks, Alex. Adam said, technically, Ray Burrell and Jordan Walker technically don't have to graduate this year. Yes, technically they should have an extra year. I can't. Ray Burrell's going. She's going to be drafted. I mean, I put her in the category of Renaya Davis. I just don't see Ray Burrell staying in college 5 years when she's got a chance to play pro, both in the WNBA and overseas. Jordan Walker, she's got to look at pro prospects, particularly overseas. I know the WNBA is such a hard roster to make, but kids who don't make the WNBA roster still get nice overseas contracts. So it all depends on if a player wants to be in school that long. And for Jordan, who had the redshirt injury year, you're talking about 6 years. Now, Kean Green, she's getting her PhD. She's just going to use it and get a ton of education. So plus she got hurt. She comes here to play. She makes 4 games, and that's the end of her Lady Vol career. But she gets that extra year, so she's going to take it. So right now I'm including Ray and Jordan Walker in the seniors because I just think it's more likely than not that they go to the next level that they can in their professional careers. So Ray, like I said, just like Renaya. And so Cassie, she's playing in Brazil already. She signed a contract over the summer. She's already playing professional basketball. I can see how any player would realize, okay, I've been in college. I've got my degree. I've graduated. Kean Green being an unusual exception because she's trying to get 3 degrees before she finishes up her college eligibility. So from running the likely scenarios in my head, I would think that both of those would go. Now, that's just me spitballing. There's that word again I used during the season. Right now, we'll see where everything looks what everything looks like next spring. Obviously, did not foresee Kean Green tearing an ACL in December. So it's something you really never really know until you get through the season. Beth said, I've seen a couple of teams this year with 15 plus on roster. I think rosters, Beth, were they allowed to expand because of COVID last year? Were they allowed to go over? They are allowed to go over. If they carried over seniors, you're right. I'm glad you brought that up. If you carried over seniors, you were allowed to go over that 15 limit. The seniors wouldn't count. However, most schools would have to fund those additional scholarships. And so that would be cost prohibitive for a lot of teams. That's a lot of players to manage in basketball. The exceptions prior to COVID, of course, were the service academies. They were allowed to go over because there were so many other obligations those players had. I remember Army, when Tennessee played them, their bench just went on forever. And they were allowed to go over the limit because of the special circumstances of players playing on the service academies. So I don't know how you manage that in practice, but I couldn't do it. I mean, just to get reps in, to get enough time in. But at the same time, I'm glad the players had that option because nothing about last year was even normal. Somebody said my head is spinning. Yeah, mine too. I try to avoid numbers because I get down a rabbit hole when I start talking rosters and availability and recruiting. And so, yeah, my head was hurting too. I had to get off that topic. Renee brought up, I got my breast cancer awareness NIL shirt. Let me go right to that and find it. I uploaded it here just a minute ago. There we go. That is the shirt. It says peace, love, cure, one team, one dream in cancer. That is, of course, Jordan Horston, Tamari Key, Ashley Rogers, and Kiki Malloy on the shirt. Terry made me aware last week when she was putting it together that she is going to give $5 of every shirt sold. She's going to make a donation to Making Strides Against Breast Cancer. I didn't know she was going to do that again. That really touched my heart. I am on that volunteer committee, have been for about, I think, 6 years now. And obviously I am a breast cancer survivor, as most people know. So that means a lot to me. It means a lot to me to see these players showing support. It really does a heart good. I promise you, other survivors, people who are remembering people they lost, or people still fighting this horrible battle right now with cancer, appreciate this too. So if you want this shirt, you need to pre-order. Terry's got to get the pre-order set by September 30th. It will be available, of course, very quickly after that for the various October walks and breast cancer awareness events that we have. Ours will be, Making Strides will be Lakeshore Park. I believe it's October 17th. It's a Sunday. The registration starts at 1 p.m. The walk starts at 3. It'd be a nice walk through Lakeshore Park, so you don't have to worry about traffic and crossing streets and that type of thing. You'll be there within the park. I will be out there all afternoon, of course, if anybody wants to come by, or you can sign up for a team or just buy a shirt and support. I would appreciate it. And thank you very much to everyone who does so. It is a pretty shirt. Donna ordered hers. Renee, we mentioned her. You are not just a survivor, you're a warrior, Maria. Thank you, Renee. I appreciate that. Credence says we love you. Y'all are great people. Beth loves the shirt. Back to numbers. We're doing math again. Beth Edwards says Texas only has 13. 13's a pretty manageable number. I've advocated before that women's basketball should go to 12 and take those other 3 scholarships and parcel them out to like the sports like softball that does so many partial scholarships where you get books and room or maybe some of tuition. I think basketball would do okay with 12, and then you could also have walk-ons. They tend to. Tennessee used to do that. They used to have a couple walk-ons, but right now it's just hard to manage to get the recruits in that you want, and then handle walk-ons too. So I didn't realize South Carolina had 16. I haven't really started looking at rosters yet. I need to think about it, because I'll have to vote in the SEC preseason media poll about how the teams will finish. So I'll have to start researching all this. We usually do that around mid-October. Y'all probably saw SEC Media Days. That's where you have that 1 or 2 day event where a bunch of media, typically has been in Alabama, interview all the coach representatives and a player representative from each SEC school. That is virtual again. It will be spread out over 10 days, and there will be uploaded materials for media and the media portal and social media promotion. So clearly we're not back to normal yet. The SEC is not holding an in-person SEC Media Day. When we go back to in-person things like we used to have, we'll know we're out of this, but we're not there yet. Credence wants to know, what are your season predictions? Which games are you most excited for? Credence, I haven't gone down that path yet. I lose track of time as it is. What is it, September 22nd? I do know that because I have to keep up with this date. I haven't really taken a look yet. I mean, some of the strong teams got stronger, Stanford being one of them, and they come here. I'm really looking forward to that game because I think it will be a heck of a December measuring stick for Tennessee. Would that be an upset if Tennessee won? Absolutely. Stanford's your defending national champion and is loaded again. So that would be a huge upset if Tennessee can win, even though Tennessee is on their home floor. I really hope by December, Patches does too, apparently, we're at a more normal situation. I mean, I just want to see Thompson Bowling Arena packed again and people comfortable being there. I mean, even though there may not be restricted attendance, I think you're going to have some people, particularly the older fan base, that's going to be uncertain about going out and about, depending on what our circumstances are at that time. But I just want to see everything back to what it was. I think all of y'all, I want the band. I want the atmosphere. I want all of the cool stuff that comes with the game. Credence says, like you said before, I believe will be better than expected and soon. I think Tennessee's ahead of schedule. I know Kelly likes his team. She likes it a whole lot. That doesn't necessarily mean they're going to storm through the SEC. The issue is the SEC just keeps getting stronger. It's not like the SEC takes a step back. It just keeps getting stronger. And it's a challenging league. And it's a lot different, honestly, than the way it used to be. I mean, I can remember not that long ago when Tennessee had a couple teams that could challenge them in the SEC, and it would vary. I mean, some years it was Georgia, LSU, the Sylvia Fowls years, Simone Augustus. And now Auburn, especially when Wnba Bonner was there. Ole Miss back in the day had some outstanding teams. And now all those teams I just listed that can easily beat up on each other every game. So it's just not a league. It's a league that challenges you in ways that other leagues simply do not. And Oklahoma and Texas, welcome to the SEC when you get here. It's brutal. I promise you that. Marianne said, enjoy the recruiting discussions and other things you can speak about when Alex is not on the show. I'm hearing Kelly is a tough coach, but very caring. Can you speak to that? I'm also hearing a favorite saying on the line. Well, that comes right from Pat. I don't know how many times I watch a Pat practice and Pat would just on the line. I mean, Kelly, Pat, I think I've said this before on this show. Pat said the two people that most reminded her of herself were Kelly Jolly and Nikki Caldwell. And I see that a lot. And both caring, compassionate souls. They care about people. Both are mothers, obviously, too. Though that Nikki wasn't for later in life, obviously Kelly too, but they're both mothers, and they're both tough coaches. So yeah, they will get in a player's grill. Though you don't see Kelly do it as much during the game. She's a bit different in practice. That was one thing about Pat, and I'm not even sure you can do that so much now. But Pat obviously could have some interesting encounters with players during a game. And sometimes Kelly does too, but it's a little more, it's not up here where Pat was, and the camera's is not always on it. If you ever get to go to a game, again, where we can pack in, it's always fun to watch the bench and see the coach interaction with the assistants and players. So that's a good observation, a good question, Mary. And Kelly is tough. And a friend of mine, I won't say who, but he calls me to talk about Tennessee. He loves Tennessee. And he was laughing. He goes, I didn't know Kelly was gangster. And I said, yeah, he saw it last season. So, you look at her, this Middle Tennessee twang and mama. And I mean, she can channel that inner Pat, but I'm not comparing her to Pat. She doesn't need that. Nobody is Pat. Pat she was a once in a lifetime coach that any of us will ever encounter. And there's no point in comparing anyone to Pat. You just can't. Is Kelly similar to Pat in some ways? Very much so. So was Nikki. So, but yeah, Kelly, the Credence, the funnest thing to watch is Kelly yelling at the officials. I've got to find that compilation. I've got to put them up here one show. I've just got a bunch of pictures of Kelly screaming at the officials. I mean, and sometimes the camera leaves Kelly and she's still going. I mean, the camera's returned to live action and she's trailing that official halfway down the sideline there, and she is still going. She got, she's looking like Pat. She got her body set, that jaw set. She's mad. Her hands are down by her side, or she's gesturing with them. So Kelly is she's quite entertaining to watch during a game. Credence also said, we sit behind the basket. It's fun to be there because you can feel, it's such a different experience in person. I know people who watch the show come from all sorts of different places, but whenever you can, get to the arena and watch it. Denise pointed out Sylvia Fowls was named WNBA Defensive Player of the Year. Yeah, Sylvia Fowls is still a problem. Those battles between Sylvia Fowls and Candace Parker were epic. And I don't know of another center post matchup like that where you had two players like that, transcendent type players. Asia Wilson obviously was one heck of a player. Tierra McCowan was one heck of a player, but neither one had that player like a Sylvia Fowles that they had to go up against every SEC season. I mean, Tierra McCowan and Asia would come close, though they had some overlap, but Sylvia and Candace were in the same class. So they had epic battle after epic battle. And the three, Candace obviously missed her freshman year because of her knee surgery, but they had regular season battles the next 3 years, SEC matchups. They were just absolutely epic battles between the two of them. I guess I better do that thing I'm supposed to do where I talk about sponsors. I better do that. Let me go find them all. Let's see. We have Alexis Hornbuckle Basketball, the Collective Unfiltered. I missed Monday's show. I'll have to go back and watch it later. I don't know what I was doing Monday, probably working. The Gold Standard with Jamel Johnson of Tennessee Lady Vol Soccer. Orange Mountain Designs, of course. You saw the pink shirt. Please get it ordered by September 30th at orangemountaindesigns.com. And Just Pass It Tutoring. And, of course, Tap 40 Grill, which is why Alex had to bail on us. But poor Alex, I know he's tired. So go in and tip well. Like, these poor people working in the restaurant business right now. There it is. There's my Tap 40 Grill. Go in there and tip well and be nice and be patient as these poor people in the restaurant and bar industry try to recover from all this with staffing and people's patience sometimes frayed and nerves frayed, but just let's all be good to each other. Renee said, I do hope to come to see some games this year, but if this COVID stuff is still going, we'll have to stay home and watch TV. I certainly understand it. The risks, everybody has to weigh individual risk. I mean, my own are things I have to weigh. Denise said, Tennessee plucked a top soccer player out of Noblesville. She was Miss Soccer in the state of Indiana. That's a good point. Yeah, maybe they can all chat. One person, I don't know if how many of you are on Twitter, but Justine Passat, who's not even here yet, is becoming Tennessee's best recruiter on Twitter. She is constantly talking to these 2023s and 2022 saying, come play for the best coach in the country. Come to Tennessee. So shout out to her. That is incredible that she's already that orange, and she's still got a year of high school to go in New Jersey. So that's shout out to Passat. I'm reading these at the same time. Michelle said, my favorite memory was at a game we went to during their last championship year. The arena was loud, but somebody did something that Pat did not like, and you heard a hey from Pat, and the whole arena got quiet. It was amazing and funny. Yeah, I mean, her voice, man, she commands a room, or in this case, an entire arena. She was a phenomenon. Did all of us cross paths with her in some way is an amazing part of our life. And my goodness, do we all miss her. I know that. These remarks are scrolling fast. So I believe, I can't remember exactly who it was. I think it was Karen Vogel that pointed out the WNBA ranking of top players when they did it by stats. ESPN Hoops, women's hoops did it by stats, and number 1 was Tamika Catchings. Number 2 was Candace Parker, which I think they were second and 9 on the other ranking list. They did it by stats. Numbers don't lie. Of course, Mark Twain said, torture numbers will confess to anything, but in this case, the numbers don't lie. I mean, they're two phenomenal players. Pat knew it. Anybody who watched them knew it. The first time I saw Candace Parker practice in Knoxville, I mean, I had to pick my jaw up. And that was her just testing that knee, seeing if she could go. And I remember just watching her move in the paint. I'm like, wow. I'm not sure I've ever seen such fluidity, such athleticism, and the fact she could use both hands. If you watched her at practice, you never know if she was left or right-handed until you saw her shoot a longer jumper, because that she just had skills that you just do not see. And she was talented, yes, but my goodness, she worked on them, and her father worked on them, and it was something to watch her play. And she's still going, and still an incredible athlete. So Amanda said Justine is going to be an amazing Lady Vol. I agree. And she certainly is already acting the part, which is, I mean, that's what you want. Whether you're from Tennessee or not, no matter where you're from, you have got to love Tennessee. You're going to be here. You can't be happy to be here, or, I want to play at Tennessee because they're a big name. And you have got to love the University of Tennessee. Not that you're not going to get mad sometimes or be ready to quit or transfer. I mean, that happens. But you have got to love Tennessee. Renee said, I felt bad on the GOAT vote, splitting my vote between CP and Catch. Wish I could have voted for both every day. Yeah, I just kept retweeting things until I did, because I agree. How am I supposed to pick between the two of them? So I just kept retweeting one or the other, just moving them along, just retweeting other people. But no, I wholeheartedly agree. William said, Maria, do you think some of these schedules are weak for other top teams? William, I haven't paid as real close attention to all of the other schools' schedules yet. I do know that in some cases, we talked about Duke. Is Duke's non-conference schedule weak? Absolutely. But I also know this is really Kara got there in July of 2020. She would have had nothing really to do with that schedule. And then they didn't play because of COVID after 4 games. And then I don't know how much input she would have had on this one because of previous contracts. I think to evaluate Duke's schedule, you kind of do the same thing that we've done with Tennessee. Where is Kelly making changes when she can? And Kelly is, of course, starting to make changes when and where she can. Sometimes it's hard to get time. And sometimes it's hard to get home and homes with top teams. Sometimes you have to have just a come to Tennessee game because you don't have the capacity to do a home and home. So those are not going to be your top tier teams because they're going to want home and home. But you have to try to balance challenges for your team, but you don't want knockout punches every single non-conference game because every single SEC game is a knockout game. So it's a tricky balance. And it's not, I will reemphasize this again, it is not like when Pat was coaching in the SEC. The SEC was not this deep. This is exactly what Pat wanted. and she's got it. She's probably smiling and laughing at all these coaches dealing with it. But the SEC is just a brawl every game. Karen said, I heard Buck say she saw Heather Mason in town. You should have her on the show. Karen, she periodically just pops in. She has maintained a home in Knoxville, even though she is now at Ohio State. So I don't think she's in town that often. But I would love to have her, though. I don't know what her obligations are at Ohio State. She's probably as busy as she could be right there. But it is always good to know that Heather Mason is still around. Apparently, a neighbor told her she had seen Alexis at Tap 40 Grill, and she went by to say hello. So it was a surprise to Alexis. But she is not here that often. She just periodically scoots down from Ohio to East Tennessee. I love how people don't leave here. There's something about East Tennessee that gets in your blood, and you don't leave once you get here. Trying to make sure I didn't miss anything. Donna said, I love our schedule. I do too. The Georgia College game, of course, we talked about the fact your exhibition game cannot be a D1 opponent unless you agree that it be done with no fans, no media, no anything. It is a controlled scrimmage that you hold typically at a neutral site. And so you're not going to have a top opponent. You can't have any D1 opponent as your exhibition game unless you make it a closed scrimmage to only team personnel and the officials. So Georgia College, I think everybody saw it on the schedule, is coached by Kelly's brother, and that is why they are on there. So that will be interesting to watch. So sibling rivalry there. Credence said, "Are you originally from here, Maria?" No, Credence, I am originally from North Carolina. I moved here in 1988. I thought I would be here 6 months, and I haven't left yet. That's what East Tennessee does to you. You just get into that kind of flow. Karen said, does Kelly have the same banner with Mickey as Pat did? It's hard to tell because with COVID, they were not on the same side of the floor. And I don't really recall from the first season if they did or not. I mean, because of having to spread out on the media row, the radio announcers were on the other side. They sound like they have a great rapport in the post-game show. When you listen to those, there's laughter and fun, and Nikki sounds real comfortable, and so does Kelly. Of course, I mean, they would be very familiar with each other. Denise said, need to get our recruiters up to Brownsburg, Indiana. They have a 6'5" freshman, same conference as Nobleville. They had Stephanie Mavunga, who started out at UNC, then Ohio State, and played for the Fever. They're already, Denise, I can't give you a name or say for certain, but they are already looking at 23s, 24s, and 25s. Heck, there's even been a 27 come in on an unofficial visit when she was playing here in an AAU event. That is one thing that Samantha and Joy did immediately when they got here last spring, was start to build relationships with 23s, 24s, and 25s. You got to get in early. That's why Tennessee with 2022s they're trying to recruit them with 2 new assistant coaches. So in 2022, job 1, hold on to Justine Passat. That was done. Kelly took care of that. Job 2 is to get players that can help you. And they're recruiting those, and they're looking. Now they just need the players that they are targeting to say yes to Tennessee, at least 1 or 2 of them. Then you go to the transfer portal, obviously, to flush out what you did not get with the high school class. But Kelly is not a coach that wants to depend on that portal for her roster. She wants to build stability, long-term players who start and complete their eligibility in Knoxville. Is that going to change? Yes. I mean, Pat had transfers. The transfers are part of the game. They've always been part of the game. And the 1-year waiver will accelerate that even more. So you're going to have situations with every team where a player leaves or a player comes in. But Kelly wants the core of that team, the bulk of her team, to be long-term, stable players who have grown up within the system. So, like I said, she's got a plan. Fans have got to be patient. Fans and patience don't go in the same sentence, but she has a plan, and she knows what she wants to do and where she's going with it. So I do want to point out soccer will be playing, Thursday. That's tomorrow, September 23rd, 7 o'clock in Knoxville, 7 p.m. It's on SEC Plus, the online stream, if you want to watch it on a laptop or device or stream it to your television. Volleyball has 2 games. And soccer came back to earth a little bit. They got scored on. They hadn't been scored on non-conference, and they lost 3-1 to a very good Arkansas team last week. It won't get any easier because Auburn is ranked number 11, 13 in the country. The SEC is also very strong in soccer. Volleyball will play September 25th, 26th. That's this weekend, Saturday and Sunday. They will host Arkansas. So if you're in town and want to get over and catch a game, if you're not, 4 o'clock p.m. Eastern is the Saturday game, and the noon game, if you're not in town, of course, is on SEC Network. Volleyball is a fun, high-energy sport to watch. So tune in at noon on Sunday. It's Eastern time on the SEC Network if you want to catch volleyball. I should have written her name down. I was looking. I do a notebook every week for Go Vols 247 that talks about all the Lady Vol sports. And I noticed that volleyball, they're doing these get to know me. I'm going to look down at my phone here and find it. They're doing these get to know me's with some of the new players, which is always good because they have a new grad. They have some transfer players coming in too. And I'm scrolling till I find it because I tweeted it. God, Lord, I tweet a lot. My goodness, where did I got to scroll all the way down. Here we go. It's Nicole Shanahan. She is a graduate transfer to Tennessee volleyball, a Wisconsin native, and she did a get to know you series. Her father played, he also swam at one of the, not at University of Wisconsin, it was one of the other schools connected to the flagship school. I can't remember the exact town, but he obviously a family that is rooted in Wisconsin. Graduate transfer, so what? You put her at 22, 23 years old. If you consider that Pat coached her last game in 2012, this player would have been in middle school when Pat was coaching and doesn't even play basketball, plays volleyball. And here's what she said on her Get to Know Me video that is posted on social media with Tennessee volleyball. I think it's an extreme honor to be able to represent the Lady Vol logo, knowing the legacy that Pat Summitt had here and all the female athletes that have been here and come before us. There's a pride that comes with it and wearing it. All right, I got goosebumps when I listened to that video and heard that. That is a Wisconsin graduate transfer talking about Pat Summitt and the Lady Vol logo and understanding the impact and the legacy of what it means. That is just tremendous. So thank you, Nicole Shanahan. That is very appreciated that you get it. I promise you that. And I wanted to shout her out on this show and let her know that I know a lot of Lady Vol fans appreciate what she said. And that is just, she gets it. And we appreciate it. Nicole Shanahan. I want to make sure I got the right name. Yes. Donna pointed out softball's playing on Sunday at 2 p.m. Thank you. Yeah, they're having fall ball, which is always fun because you get some live action, especially for your newcomers, and you get to see live pitching. It's just different than batting practice, so that is always good. I'm going to put up that shirt again. Let's go back. Where's my shirt? There it is. It is the 2021 Breast Cancer Awareness Month shirt done by Orange Mountain Designs, incorporated with the 4 NIL athletes, Jordan Horston, Tamari Key, Ashley Rogers, and Kiki Malloy, 2 basketball and 2 softball players. Pre-order it by September 30th at orangemountaindesigns.com. $5 from every shirt sold will be donated to Making Strides Against Breast Cancer. So that is tremendous outreach by them. Nikki Yanasike, apparently the Kendra Scott event went really well with the bracelet she designed. So I'm still in touch with her on a regular basis. Check it on the twins. They're my favorite little children now. I just always got that's a semi-recent photo. They are just adorable. I also want everything to get back to normal so I can hold those babies. Just can't do that right now. Credence said, who's a player that will break out this year in your opinion? Credence, are we talking Tennessee or across the country? Or I mean, for Tennessee, I'll always love it when sophomores become juniors. I mean, right now Tennessee needs the upperclassmen to break out. I mean, we saw what Ray Burrell did from sophomore to junior year. Ray Burrell broke out last year. Now you need some of your juniors to take that step. You need Tamari Key to take that step. Jordan Horston to take that step. You need players that haven't played a lot to take those steps. You got two other juniors that also have stayed intact in this class, Emily Saunders and Jessie Rennie. You need Kelly has proven that she will play multiple players. She will go deep in her bench. So you need juniors and seniors to step up. That's, I think, one reason she likes this team quite a bit. She's got experience now, and she loves the attitude of the four freshmen and graduate transfer Alexis Dye. She loves their motor and their approach to the game. Now, it's September. There hasn't been a full practice yet. That won't happen until October 3rd. That's when you really start separating how hard this is. So I love the enthusiasm in September. If you were negative or down on a team in September, that would be terrible. But reality also comes crashing in when you see how difficult it is. Darby's another one. Darby got behind last year with that lower leg injury, and then you're not practicing, and then you have COVID disruptions with the team. And I mean, it really, I mean, what are you going to do? A global pandemic hits. You can't control it, but, and every team dealt with it, but it really did put issues with how a player's freshman year. I mean, nothing about this is normal. It's already hard enough to make that transition from high school to college, and then you do it in the middle of a pandemic. So I do like that the NCAA gave people an extra year for the seniors, but I do want things to get back to normal as soon as they can. I think we all do. But that is, what is it, 7:48? That is all I have. I better do the sponsors again in case anybody else is watching with Volunteer Roadshow. Alexis Hornbuckle basketball. Hopefully she'll be back with us next week. Just Pass It Tutoring, Collective Unfiltered, Gold Standard, Fitness and Training, and Orange Mountain Designs, of course. And we've already shown the pink shirt that everybody can get by September 30th. Donna said TK will have a breakout. That would be very welcome by Tennessee. She's and I think it's much fairer to expect that from a junior or senior. Like I give Ray Burrell the nod there. Look how Sydney Spencer, if you want to go back in time to the 07 national championship team. If you watch Sydney Spencer as a freshman and then saw what she became as her senior year, is incredible. The other one, of course, Izzy Harrison. That may be the most improved player I've ever watched at Tennessee. The first time I saw her play was the Rocky Top League in the summer, and I'm like, oh my goodness. She has got a long way to go. And look, I mean, she went a long way, and she is still doing well in the WNBA. And she also had a bout with COVID and is back now, so thank goodness for that. Denise said 54 degrees and rain all day in Noblesville. We went from 88 to 55. We're doing the same thing here. It has rained here 4 straight days. We are underwater in East Tennessee, and I think we're supposed to go into the upper 40s, low 50s this weekend. It's East Tennessee weather. We'll probably be back 80 in 2 weeks. Who knows? But thank you guys for coming, everyone. Appreciate y'all. Appreciate y'all taking care of our sponsors and your kind words and your questions. And I do want to say, Margaret said, I can't wait to see TK put her power in her game. She's about to bully some players. Her personality is kind of laid back, but you can make her mad. So I agree, Margot. You got to get in her head. You can make her mad, and sometimes a player gets mad, it's over after that. I used to laugh when I think it was Glory Johnson, if they messed up her hair. I'm like, oh, you done messed up now. You messed up Glory's hair. You're not gonna have a very good pleasant experience here. So you guys stay safe, stay dry, stay warm. Go Vols, beat the Gators. I always believe, because what else? You have to believe. You have to go in believing. It's sports. Anything can happen. Appreciate y'all coming. And we will see you in a week, and hopefully we'll have the Buck part back of Buck and 2MC. Boy, do you have to be careful saying that on when you're live talking. But I will see you guys in a week. Y'all take care, and